In this session, I'd like to share with you a system of colour labelling that I've come to adopt that's helping me with my workflow when it comes to processing real estate shoots. And I throw it out for your consideration. If you want to adopt a similar system, you'll adapt it for your own requirements. But it hinges upon using the colour labels to refer to either actions that need to be carried out or actions that have been carried out. So I can tell at a glance when I look at a shoot, or the thumbnails for a shoot, what actions have been carried out or what actions need to be carried out on that shoot. So you'll see this standard shoot of mine with various different coloured labels, and I'm going to talk you through what I do. So when I import a shoot into Lightroom, everything is given initially a blue label, and the blue label just means it either needs to be looked at or processed. So here I've got a sequence of images where I'm working with the living room. I'm trying out different combinations, different angles, I'm bringing in the tungsten, and I finally settle on the shot that I like, and I go and process that. I've carried out various local adjustments in the development module, I've burnt in the view through the windows, I've blended the tungsten, etc. That's my final shot. It's the one that gets a green label, and green means that it's been processed, but that it needs to be uploaded to my backup site, which happens to be SmugMug. So it's as yet processed but not yet loaded. And theoretically what this enables me to do is, you can see down here, I've gone through each of these, the different room sets. So we've got, for example, process view of the dining area looking through to the garden. On the way to that shot I took a number of pictures. For example, this was the shot without any fill flash, and then I'm starting to add fill flash. That's rather too much. I'm settling back a little bit on the fill flash, and then I'm getting to where I want to be, and I'm working on that file in Lightroom, and it's that file that gets my vote and is uploaded to my backup site. So you can see here the green files are all the processed finished results. Don't worry about these two red ones down the bottom. I'm going to talk about those a little bit later. What this enables me to do is to come back at a later date, and I can actually press use the filter facility in Lightroom. If I go to the filter and hit blue only, that's going to leave me with just the blue to be processed shots. But because I know that I've processed the best ones of these, I can actually delete all these files. So I never delete anything when I'm on a shoot. That really makes me nervous, deleting pictures in the field. I keep everything, but when I get back here and I've finally processed all my pictures, I've got all my greens that are ready to go, I can come in and at a later date have a spring clean of my disk and just dial up all the blues and delete them, and that way I keep my archive to something reasonable and manageable that can be stored on a couple of LaCie disks. Anyway, let's turn the filter off, so we've got all the colour labels showing, and I mentioned these two red files down here earlier. Now what these are, I've had to photograph a bedroom, and here you'll see my shot, the first shot that I did, which is just the daylight, the ambient light, and then I came along with my fill flash and added fill flash, and I thought I'd overcooked that, so I settled the flash back a little bit, and I've settled on this shot. But I think in this room I would actually like to have these little tungsten lamps in their illuminated state, but I am quite fussy about how I process tungsten when I'm combining it with daylight. I don't like it to look too burnt out and too warm. So I take a separate shot of just the tungsten, which as you can see is considerably underexposed, and I've also corrected for the tungsten white balance, which has left the daylight component recording very blue. Now going back to our sequence, I apportion these kind of images with a red label because they need to be combined or blended in Photoshop outside of Lightroom in order to create a third shot, which is a blend of the two, which contains the tungsten lights nicely color balanced but just recording enough light to show that they're on. And what I would do is take those two images and go to Photo and Edit in and open as layers in Photoshop. So Photoshop will open a layered document that I can carry out a blend, and if you like to look at my separate video on luminance masking. It'll show you how I do that in Photoshop. But the important thing is that that then re-imports a PSD file, which is the final blend. So it's that PSD file that gets my green label. But when I come to do my disk spring clean, I don't want to delete those two raw files. When I see a red, I know that those raw files played a role in producing that final blended file. So I might choose to hang on to those two raw files if I think this is an important job, but I know that I've got the finished one in the form of the green. So with the job processed and all the greens ready to go, I can again use the library filter facility, and this time I'm going to select just the green shots, and there they are. And what I like to do, and again I got another video about this, is to create a gallery on SmugMug, which is stored for my client. I'm going to create a new gallery here featuring these process shots. So we'll call it test gallery, and I'm just going to upload that, and SmugMug is doing this live. It's up. If I hit publish, it'll do it live, and it's uploading my processed versions to a safe site off-site where my client will be able to go and download full res versions of their files, and we'll go there in a moment. But while that's doing its thing, I'm also going to do something else for my client, which is to go to the web module, and here I'm going to produce a web gallery for him which will contain low-res images that he can immediately put up on his website. The high-res files on the SmugMug site are useful if he wants to produce a magazine article, and he wants to make hard copy prints. So I'm just going to get that clear there. That is a web gallery of the shoot, and this also I can set to upload while my pictures are uploading to SmugMug, and I'm just going to give that a second name, and I can upload that. So it's incredibly useful to be able to supply to my client both high-res files stored on SmugMug and low-res files that they can right-click and immediately put on their website. Now I've come back to the SmugMug gallery here in the library module, and you'll see it's telling me how progress is going. It's already published these 5 photos, thanks to my fantastically fast broadband connection, up to the storage site on SmugMug. And what I do when a picture is uploaded and safely backed up off-site, I select those uploaded pictures and give them a purple label. And if I take off our library filter, which is set to green, you can see that the published photos have got a purple. There's another one being uploaded there. So when I come back to my original folder of images, I can tell fairly quickly which ones have been uploaded safely and which ones are the ones that need to be deleted. So with all the thumbnails selected, it's just a question of using the filter to filter out the blue items. Here you can see what once were green selected shots are now coming up as purple labeled shots because they've been safely uploaded. And I'm also going to hang on to those 2 red raw files. So I'm going to use the filter facility to show just the blues, and all those blue files could actually be safely deleted and thereby really reduce the space occupied by the raw files on my hard drive. And I'd just like to show you online the 2 galleries that we created. The SmugMug gallery, first of all, which is the high-res gallery, has all the shots available for download as high-res files, and here they are. And there's also the other gallery, which is the low-res version, which is created in Lightroom, and that also all these shots can be right-clicked and downloaded ready for the client to use. So I hope this has been a helpful overview of just one way of working with the colour labelling system in Lightroom. It enables me to know where I am with a shoot, and importantly to reduce the quantity of files occupied on my hard drive after a shoot's complete.